What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Wednesday, November 15th, 2023, and I have an emergency update to share with you guys. Right now, it is 8:14 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and we currently have U.S. nuclear forces on high alert. We have two nuclear war command and control planes up in the air right now, and we also have two nuclear bombers flying over the Dakotas. We have a B-1 Lancer and we also have a B-52, and they're both over the Black Hills right now at the same time as two nuclear war command and control planes. One of those nuclear war command and control planes got aerially refueled over the Ohio Valley area. And we also have a combat Sentinel plane on the tarmac at Offutt Air Base about to take off. And those planes are used to provide the president and the Joint Chiefs with intelligence. They provide intelligence directly to the president and the Joint Chiefs. So something's going on, guys. I don't know what, but we also had this nuclear war command and control plane with the call sign Lundy 89 do some loops over the missile field in western Nebraska. Now, these planes can remotely launch all of our Minuteman III ICBMs. So for one of these to fly over one of our missile fields is extremely concerning. Okay, it means that potentially it was getting ready to issue an order if something were to happen. And here we have the B-1 Lancer that took off from Ellsworth Air Force Base, and it flew towards southeastern Montana, and then it turned its transponder off just a few minutes ago. And then here we have the combat Sentinel plane on the tarmac at Offutt Air Base, okay? And then here we have the other nuclear war command and control plane, and it got aerially refueled somewhere over northern Kentucky, northeastern Kentucky, and now it's flying over southern Jersey, doing loops near Atlantic City. Very, very unusual activity tonight, guys. I don't know if it's because Xi Jinping is in town and they're on high alert. This was just about an hour ago, right around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and here you can see the B-1 Lancer was on the flight tracker over southeastern Montana. Okay, so there it is right there. And then here we have the B-52. It was flying over Minot, doing loops over Minot. There's missile fields up there too. And then it flew to the same area as the B-1 Lancer flew towards southeastern Montana. And this one completely disappeared as well. So both of the nuclear bombers turned off their transponders. And you can see here the nuclear war command and control plane was doing loops over our missile field in western Nebraska. And then here you can see the other nuclear war command and control plane getting refueled over northeastern Kentucky. Okay. And I actually have a buddy of mine that lives in this area here. I'm going to ask him if he saw anything. Look at this, guys. So here you can see the aerial refueler. It went north towards Ohio, and then here's the nuclear war command and control plane continuing eastward towards West Virginia, and it got aerially refueled. And it actually had its transponder off until it got near Nashville. All right, so something is going on, guys. Very concerning stuff here. Here we have a C-2 Greyhound flying towards one of our aircraft carriers in the Middle East, the Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier, which is just southwest of Cyprus. So this is probably the latest location of the Gerald Ford, somewhere in this area. Looks like it moved a little further west. All right, you can see that the Greyhound landed in this area here. So it moved further west, the Gerald Ford. And we had one of Putin's doomsday planes doing loops over northwestern Russia just about 14 hours ago. All right, you can see it took off from Moscow and it went up here and it did these loops in the middle of like Siberia near the Urals, and then it went back to Moscow. Okay, this was overnight last night. Here you can see these little villages where it was doing these loops. This is very, very strange. This is an Ilyushin 96 300 PU. And apparently, Russia only has a few of these, and they're used by Vladimir Putin as his doomsday plane. Okay, so this is very, very weird. Looks like US and Russian nuclear forces are on high alert. We also have a US reconnaissance drone flying off the coast of Lebanon this evening. Okay, it's doing these tight patterns here right off the coast of Lebanon, not near Gaza, not near Israel, but off the coast of Lebanon, guys. And I think this is probably the first time that this RQ-4 Global Hawk reconnaissance drone has done this in the Eastern Mediterranean. And you notice it's focusing on Lebanon. Okay, it's right across from Beirut and Lebanon. It's not near Gaza. Okay, so this is very concerning. It means that the U.S. could be planning some kind of preemptive strike on Lebanon, or they're trying to gather intel for the Israelis to tell the Israelis where the positions of the Hezbollah artillery are. So this is very, very serious, guys. I'm going to continue to monitor the situation, but it looks like things are continuing to escalate around the world, and all the major nuclear powers are in a state of high alert. Here we have a Sikorsky Seahawk helicopter that took off from one of our aircraft carriers. And I believe this is the Dwight Eisenhower aircraft carrier that's in this area right here. I can't see what other ship we would have in this area that a Seahawk would be taking off from. So most likely this is the latest position of the Dwight Eisenhower aircraft carrier. You can see it's a little bit further into the Gulf of Oman. A few days ago, it was further out over here, a little further east of the Gulf of Oman. It didn't actually enter the Gulf of Oman, but now it looks like it's in the Gulf of Oman. So I don't know if our carriers are getting into position now, or this carrier and the associated warships are getting into position to strike Iran. They're moving closer to the Persian Gulf. So if anything's going to happen, it's not going to be much longer. Okay, Putin is meeting with Xi Jinping today and tomorrow. I'm sure they're talking about Iran and everything else. One of the White House officials said that Iran was on the top of the list of topics that Biden was going to discuss with Xi Jinping. We do know that the U.S. House of Representatives already passed a resolution with like over 95% of congressmen voting to support the resolution, voting in favor of it. And the resolution was to denuclearize Iran. It was basically a soft declaration of war on Iran, basically saying that the U.S. will not allow Iran to get a nuclear weapon by any means. They'll use any means necessary to prevent that from happening. So I want to just read to you some of the latest headlines. Xi Jinping said today while meeting with Biden that a conflict between China and the U.S. would have unimaginable consequences for the world. And the UN Security Council voted today on the first resolution for the Israel-Hamas war, and it was urging an extended humanitarian pause. And apparently 12 of the Security Council members voted in favor and 3 abstained. The US, the UK, and Russia abstained. And the US and the UK abstained because they felt that a humanitarian pause was not a good idea, and also because the resolution failed to condemn the October 7 attack by Hamas. And Russia abstained because they're demanding a ceasefire, not just a humanitarian pause. Okay, so this is for extended humanitarian pauses Okay, so the UN Security Council is now involved. They're trying to go against Israel. This is coming right out of the Bible, guys. The Bible says all these countries would come against Israel. Okay, everything is happening just like the Bible says. Okay, everybody's going against Israel. The UN, Western European countries, Middle Eastern countries, China, North Korea, North African countries. Okay, we're seeing a rise in anti Semitism around the world. The UK Parliament voted against a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, and 125 British Parliament members voted yes to a ceasefire, and 293 voted no. So that's like 2/3 voted no. So that's good news coming out of the UK. Nearly 300,000 people joined the March for Israel in Washington, D.C. yesterday at the National Mall, which was coordinated by the Jewish Federation of Greater Washington. The event was organized to march for Israel, to march to free hostages, and to march against anti Semitism, as written on the event's website. And Germany has decided to double military aid to Ukraine. This was reported by Bild. The German government decided to increase military aid to Ukraine by 4 billion euros. And next year, Ukraine will receive 8 billion euros as compared to 4 billion this year. So that's pretty interesting. So that's the latest information that I have, guys. Make sure you're prepared. Make sure you have a nuclear war survival plan. Check out my website for information on nuclear war survival. That's NYPrepper.com. There's a link in the description below this video. Check out my nuclear war survival playlists. I have like probably 50 plus videos on nuclear war survival. You should have some kind of a nuclear war survival plan that's centered around a fallout shelter. A fallout shelter is the most important thing if we're talking about nuclear war, because most people will not be affected by the blast or the thermal effects, but pretty much everybody in the northern hemisphere would be affected by radiation from fallout if there's a nuclear exchange between Russia and the United States. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I will be back tomorrow with more updates. I might be back later on tonight with more. If something else happens with these planes here, I'll update you. But other than that, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.